Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursalin, Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem, Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi, ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Well, tonight we want to talk about project management coming to you from revolutionary headquarters or evolutionary headquarters. Because in revolution there's some evolution, and in evolution there's some revolution. There's specific times during a period of life and during a period of a movement. We found that As-Sabiqun, alhamdulillah, we would have to classify it as at this time as an evolutionary movement. And the As-Sabiqun Liberation Organization is just that. Number one, liberation is a big word. Liberation is a very big word. What we mean right now is liberation from our self-imposed limitations, liberations from our self-imposed barriers. Also, liberation from being dictated to by other groups and movements and organizations that don't deserve to dictate to our movement. For instance, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's other people who are technically more friendly with us, we consider ourselves as an evolutionary movement. And tonight, project management mainly deals with some of the little projects that we're doing right now. So some of the things that we decided on was what we're working on right at 4481. You know, just a simple roofing project. But roofing project is all part of our little revival around here. For instance, whether it's cars or trucks parked around here, we're going to get rid of those because they serve their purpose. The people that was here have served their purpose. Everything clarified itself the way it should be. Example, if you look at our place right now, you would look at it and you would think, man, this place is kind of run down. You know, if you look at the parking lot, if you look at our house, if you go in the bookstore. By the way, I was in the bookstore today, and I started cleaning it up on one side. Tomorrow I'll go clean it up on the other side. The next day, I'll put a door on our little workout program. After that, I'll begin to rearrange what we call the annex. You know, what we built for, what we're doing right now, maybe in a week or so we'll move out there. And that's what we built it for. When we built it, all we have to do is put a little sheetrock here, sheetrock there. It's okay if someone that knows sheetrock went up and pulled it down. That's okay. You can tell it's pulled it down. Because you know those washers I have on it? I had a few of those in there. You can't pull them down. They won't fall down by themselves. And if they did, they would, or you'd have to put a hole almost in the sheetrock because they're not check sheetrock. You're actually holding, but it's no problem. Those things are there, and they're like they are for their time. Everything is according to our internal clock, like our movement clock. So right now, we just start back to physical work, a regular little work schedule, and that's what we'll do until we go back to California. When we go back to California, we have a work schedule planned for that, and we'll follow that. So that's why this is called project management, because it's not waiting and watching and looking around and letting people do things to us to see what they do or to whatever reason we have. Project is management when we're moving forward on our own steam. We're gonna do that. It don't make no difference what else happens. It's simple, but it's real. Because see, like project management, we got a lot of things we want to do. And this thing is so evolutionary that when you sit down for 1 hour or 2 hours, or you listen to one program or another program, pretty soon you saying, hey, we got a good idea and we got good, but that ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? And we use it right now for climate change. So we have to evolve to the level necessary to get a certain job done, you know, to meet the needs of our time. And what we had in mind is very good, but we have to meet the needs of the time right now, you know. When we went over the section in the Quran that dealt with reason, you know, that where Allah is appealing to the human. First, all the signs that we see, everything we see, basically is signs. Sometimes you just sitting back and watching and waiting. And sometimes the signs are so repetitive and constant that you just have to move on it. And then the signs that we are watching now and witnessing, unbelievable. And the Quran, in the ayat we was relating to in Surah Yusuf, relates to reason. These ayats, this book, all of this is relating to aql, to reason. Of course, it's a book of faith. But since a lot of people we're dealing with, they might call themselves faithful, but according to their behavior, they don't appear to be faithful. So if they were faithful, we would appeal to their faith, their iman, their deen, their religion. But right now we're appealing to their reason. Why reason? We're just saying, dear brothers and sisters, look at the world we're living in. Is it reasonable that we can keep going like this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Is that reasonable? Does your aql, your day-to-day reason tell you that, yeah, we can keep on going just like we're going, and we can get us some jobs, and we can get us some halal meat, and we can keep on rolling for the next decades? Reason don't say, when we look at everything we've talked about, fires in Australia, did they have the fire last month? Now they're drowning. They're rescuing people like in Dunkirk. Okay, so you could take it to California. could take it down to Texas, wherever you wanted to take it. Whatever that was happening there on this globe, I just heard a few minutes ago that in a couple of years all the coral reefs will be disappeared. Can you imagine?
My son was in Australia last year and he saw it and he was like, they look like trash heaps. Hey, it was ridiculous.
Unbelievable. Can you imagine? Okay. So we're relating to the people's reason because if they were functioning faithful, 10%, you know, during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if you missed 10% of your deen, you'd be in trouble. There come a time when if you practice 10% of it, you'd be all right. Probably this is that time. But we don't see that maybe the people, of course we're not judges and juries and what have you, but it don't seem like the people are practicing even 10% of their faith. Because there's certain things that you can't do. A Muslim is not a liar. They can't lie. They can be a munafiq, they can be all kind of fun, but they can't be a liar. So if Muslims are perpetually lying, then there's something wrong with them. This is according to the hadith. You know. The Quran and hadith are giving us guidelines on what to follow, and the Muslims are not functioning. Not the international Muslim, but the national, the local Muslims. The international Muslims, Saudi Arabia ain't practicing no Islam. They're practicing good old time Jahiliyyah, what they was back in the old days, pre-Islam. They don't seem to be practicing. The people are practicing. Now, let's say the echelon, the government, the princely class, they don't appear to be practicing any Islam. Number one, they're fighting other Muslims. That's clear. They're just fighting other Muslims. Technically, you can't do that. You just can't do that. Okay. And then, subverting the ummah, using your resources to help hold up non-belief, disbelief, in fact, right? So, we're appealing to reason. Reason would tell Saudi Arabia, look, the Americans dump everybody. So what do you think they're going to do with you when you're not useful to them? When they don't need your oil anymore, they're going to dump you. They're just going to dump you. Whether it's tattletales, whatever it is, we can go over the history of this system. And the system has a behavior pattern. And it's worse than before. You know, one of the things that we've been looking at is how to, we know that we want to appeal to the good common people and students and all of that, but we want to appeal to a few, let's say billionaires. A simple test, we call it the happiness test, right? Like what we're doing now. We just ask a reasonable question that deals with aqua. How many of you billionaires are happy? Simple question. The standard refrain is that in the past, all the robber barons, the Fords, the Rockefellers, you know what I mean, Andrew Carnegie's, none of them were happy. Andrew Carnegie almost went crazy, you know, the Carnegie Library, trying to get rid of his wealth without causing any problem to anybody. You know, they were robbers, though they were rich. Nowadays they would be trillionaires. Them boys was having big money. They wasn't happy. Now, this is a simple question. Would you rather have $1 million, a few $100,000 and be happy, or have billions of dollars and be unhappy? Some of the people are so dumb, they would rather have billions of dollars and be unhappy, because they don't know any better. But anybody that's happy, right? Because remember, happiness and contentment, that's the purpose of life. If you can get that on earth, you're pulling off a pretty good one. Imagine if you have $1 trillion and don't enjoy it. Why not just have a few $1 million and really enjoy it? You just enjoy it. You enjoy your family, you enjoy your kids, you know what I mean? When you go on a vacation, you really enjoy your vacation. You can afford to take and live kind of like you want, but you do good to other people too, because that's one of the keys. That's the key to, one of the keys to happiness, and I believe it's the main key, is helping other people. You know, to me, the main key in life is helping other people, it seems like. Okay, you don't give people a religious test to help them, or you don't give them a thank you test, you know what I mean, like, or an appreciation test. I'm going to help you if you say thank you, brother, and I love you, and all of that. You help people because you get the reward for it. You get the reward. It's almost selfish. People they don't even believe. When these scriptures say it's better to give than to receive, they don't have any, they never tried it. That's the thing. I believe that so few people try, right? This giving, this helping, this aiding and assisting. I believe they just don't try it. They don't try it. If you don't ever reach out to taste the thing, you just don't get the benefit of it, because you never tried it. So, since this is a general talk on thoughts and things, we really want to make that a part of our process. This is the billionaire test. Are you happy with your billions? Now there's so many billionaires. Not that many, but there's some. That I believe we should try that. We should try the billionaires test. And some are so young and so, you know what I mean, that I believe in the law of large numbers. Law of large numbers is like, those advertisements we get in the mail all the time in our mailbox. That's the law of large numbers. In other words, they putting out an advertisement, and they've been doing it so long, it must be working, or they wouldn't keep putting it out. The law of large numbers. If we put out 1 million of those, if we get 10,000 replies, we home free. You see what I mean? That's the law of large numbers. If we put out this call to the billionaire class on the concept of happiness, and we ask, just like we're asking now, because that's what we're doing, we're asking right now, are you happy? Now, one thing about it, everybody knows whether they're happy or not. Right? People know whether they're happy or not. People know the anxiety they're feeling, the tranquility they're feeling. They know those things, you know. They might not know why, or they might not know what to do about it. What we're saying is, if you take the happiness test and you realize that you're not happy and you're super wealthy, well, help us. Yeah. Help us, help humanity. Yeah. See, I'm not going to go into it in depth, but see, we don't get around boss man. Boss man is thinking, we got these niggas sealed off. They ain't going nowhere. Because we got them boxed in. That's what boss man is thinking. Because that's what he's been doing. He done cut off family, he just about, you look at what he's done, he would think he was successful. But he ain't gonna be successful. Imagine somebody, look at it as though you're in a prison and you're trying to get out of that prison, you escape. You know, that was a movie, what's the name, did quite a while ago, called Escape, where he would go into prisons, and then, you know, he would figure out how to get out. Sylvester Stallone, yeah. Okay. Everybody, I do it all the time. I look at it, okay, the white man that built a wall around, let's say me, and he didn't cut off all access. He didn't cut off everything. So he thinks. There are simple things that don't cost nothing to get out of boss man's penitentiary. For us, simple things like leaderless resistance. Remember we went through that? Leaderless resistance. It's so simple. It's like leaderless resistance is like a person do programs like we're talking now, and we teach and train people how to carry themselves, right? How to act. I have some of it written down, but I'm not going to go over it tonight. I'll just go over the concept of leaderless resistance. That we can sit right in front of here and we can run down, just like all of our programs, but specifically how young people, high techies, can mesmerize the society. They can run circles around boss